Jimmy Kimmel has a meltdown after he gets destroyed by Sylvester Stallone.
The battle between Sylvester Stallone and Jimmy Kimmel has taken a shocking turn that no one saw coming. What began as a late-night snub has escalated into one of the most dramatic entertainment feuds of the decade, with Stallone taking Kimmel to the Supreme Court over explosive revelations. With careers and legacies hanging in the balance, this clash is shaping up to be a legal showdown that could shake Hollywood to its core. The clash heard around Hollywood. Hollywood is no stranger to feuds, but few have stirred as much buzz as the clash between a celebrated action legend and a late-night host. When news broke that Jimmy Kimmel had decided not to feature Sylvester Stallone on his show, fans and insiders alike sensed trouble brewing. As soon as the story leaked, social media lit up with opinions, memes, and questions about why a host known for his edgy humor would turn away one of the industry's most iconic figures. What seemed like a routine programming choice spiraled into a frenzy. Talk of declining ratings at the network began almost immediately, with many pointing out how disrespecting someone of Stallone's stature could alienate casual viewers, especially those who loved his films for decades. ABC, under the sprawling Disney umbrella, scrambled to contain the damage as their late-night cornerstone came under fire. Suddenly, this was not just about missing a guest, but about a bigger issue: whose voices you allow on air, and whose you shut out. For Stallone, best known for tough, gritty roles and an underdog mindset, the occurrence felt personal. He had criticized Hollywood's increasing lean toward political correctness, suggesting it was stifling creativity and genuine storytelling. Fans believed that this outspokenness might have been the very reason Kimmel, ever mindful of potential backlash, opted to keep Stallone away from the bright lights of late-night TV. The scandal then took on a life of its own, playing out on platforms like Twitter and Instagram, where supporters rallied around Stallone, branding him a symbol of authenticity in a world of carefully calculated narratives. Meanwhile, some viewers took aim at Kimmel, accusing him of failing to uphold the open-minded spirit that makes interviews lively and diverse. Kimmel's decision to exclude Stallone. Jimmy Kimmel's reputation rests on a blend of humor, social commentary, and the occasional jab at celebrity culture. Yet, when he decided to exclude Sylvester Stallone from his show, that signature edge seemed to backfire. Known for hosting a wide range of guests, from pop stars to political figures, Kimmel rarely shies away from controversy. However, in this case, he appeared to draw a firm line. According to whispers around the industry, the spark for this decision was Stallone's repeated criticism of Hollywood's obsession with political correctness. The action star had publicly stated that an overemphasis on not offending anyone could smother creative expression. This point of view ran counter to Kimmel's more progressive leanings, and it seemed the show's production team feared a possible backlash if the two faced off before a live audience. The real twist came from a leaked memo suggesting that ABC executives and Kimmel's staff actively agreed to sideline Stallone. Almost immediately, talk of censorship and intolerance for differing views spread online. The argument wasn't about just one guest. It became a symbol of a bigger question. Should late-night television remain a space for all viewpoints? Or is it a curated platform that refrains from unsettling its existing audience? Once details of the ban emerged, the public's reaction was swift and loud. Memes flooded Twitter, mocking Kimmel for being too disconnected to handle a simple difference of opinion, while hashtags like #TeamStallone and #CancelKimmel trended. Even fans not typically invested in Hollywood drama joined the conversation, many of them longtime admirers of Stallone's underdog spirit. Caught off guard by the intensity of the outrage, Kimmel tried to maintain his normal comedic approach on air. He sprinkled a few jokes into his monologue, dodging the bigger questions swirling online. However, this only added fuel to the fire. Viewers took his lighthearted remarks as a sign he was brushing off genuine concerns. Criticism of political correctness. Sylvester Stallone has never been one to tiptoe around his views. Throughout his career, the actor has spoken candidly about the highs and lows of Hollywood, often calling out elements he believes hinder genuine creativity. Recently, Stallone criticized what he saw as Hollywood's excessive focus on being politically correct, arguing it stifles bold storytelling and forces creators to follow safe formulas. While some praised him for daring to speak up, others saw his comments as controversial, thinking his perspective clashed with modern entertainment norms. What sets Stallone apart is the unapologetic way he shares these thoughts. He comes from a background of adversity and hustle, shaped by his own rugged life experiences. As the box office champ behind films like the Rocky and Rambo series, he has seen firsthand how authenticity can resonate with audiences. According to him, real stories about underdogs and rough edges rise above the polished, predictable mold. His stance, therefore, isn't rooted in dismissing progress, but in lamenting how caution can overshadow original ideas. Naturally, this viewpoint puts Stallone at odds with figures who prefer safer ground, especially when a show's brand revolves around appealing to a broad, often sensitive audience. Kimmel's late-night platform, known to interlace comedy with pointed social commentary, made the host and his team wary of inviting someone who might challenge the typical narrative. From Stallone's angle, however, this mindset only confirms his suspicion that Hollywood is more concerned with image than genuine expression. Fans rallied around Stallone once word spread that Kimmel had passed on hosting him. Many took to social media, pointing out that Stallone's roles, especially Rocky, symbolize resilience and breaking barriers. They felt he was being sidelined precisely because he refused to conform to the industry's current trend of playing it safe. To these supporters, Stallone's blunt attitude is a breath of fresh air, reinforcing the idea that art thrives on honest, sometimes messy conversations, not watered-down scripts tailored to avoid controversy. The public reaction and social media eruption. The moment the public discovered that Sylvester Stallone had been excluded from Jimmy Kimmel's show, social media turned into a battleground. As soon as the leaked memo hit the internet, fans of both celebrities weighed in, spurring a digital tidal wave of comments, likes, and retweets. Those who admired Stallone lashed out at Kimmel for what they felt was a blatant snub, while longtime viewers of Kimmel's comedy questioned why the host would dodge a guest capable of attracting huge ratings. Within hours, hashtags like Team Stallone and Cancel Kimmel shot to the top of trending lists, revealing just how emotionally invested fans were. Memes ridiculing Kimmel for being too scared or out of touch splashed across every platform. In contrast, Stallone was praised for standing firm in his criticisms of Hollywood and maintaining his dignity throughout the ordeal. Many admired his refusal to go along with scripted narratives, especially once it became clear the show had shut him out. As the online chatter grew louder, so did the real-world consequences. Late-night shows thrive on audience engagement, but it seemed Kimmel's audience was now engaged for the wrong reasons: outrage instead of entertainment. Stories began circulating that the host's ratings took a noticeable dip, fueling speculation that the controversy had caused significant damage to the show's reputation. Even casual observers couldn't help but notice the scale of the reaction. It was more than just fans venting. News outlets and pop culture websites covered every twist, analyzing why the late-night world was in such a frenzy over one missed interview. While some argued it was an overblown episode in an already dramatic industry, others insisted it signaled a genuine shift toward demanding openness and authenticity. Kimmel's attempts to address the situation on air did little to calm the storm. Lighthearted jokes about the feud were met with anger from viewers who felt he was dodging responsibility. Meanwhile, online forums buzzed about whether this would be a lasting blow to Kimmel's career, or simply another brief flare-up in the ongoing cycle of celebrity drama. Stallone's refusal and strategic response. As the uproar escalated, Jimmy Kimmel's team reached out to Sylvester Stallone in a last-ditch effort to patch things up. Producers reportedly offered extended time slots, complete creative control over the interview, and any other concessions they thought might change his mind. Yet Stallone remained unmoved. This was not a simple case of rescheduling. It was about principle. He firmly believed he had been dismissed because of his stance on Hollywood's growing fixation with political correctness, and he saw no reason to help fix a problem of the show's own making. Rather than rejoin a platform he felt had shut him out, Stallone shifted to what some have called authentic media. He appeared on podcasts like The Joe Rogan Experience and on alternative talk shows known for allowing guests to speak freely without heavy editorial oversight. The contrast was stunning. While Kimmel's show faced calls for boycotts and plummeting ratings, Stallone's appearances drew praise and huge viewer numbers, solidifying his image as a straight-talking icon. Fans greeted this pivot with enthusiastic support, hailing Stallone for refusing to back down under pressure. many believed. His move was symbolic of a broader trend in entertainment, a migration away from scripted, network-dominated interviews toward raw, unfiltered discussions in more open formats. In their eyes, the old late-night model, complete with carefully curated angles and segments, no longer held the same appeal. For Kimmel, the fallout was immense. Industry insiders whispered about panic behind the scenes, with ABC worried that this could be the beginning of a ratings freefall. Rumors suggested executives were pressuring Kimmel to mend fences before the damage became irreversible. Yet every reported overture to Stallone was met with silence or polite refusal, positioning the actor as someone who refused to play along with what he viewed as insincere attempts at reconciliation. Kimmels Fallout and ABC's Panic. As soon as the controversy ignited, tremors spread throughout the network that hosts Jimmy Kimmel's late-night show. Executives watched in alarm as public fury turned into plunging viewership, sparking frantic efforts to contain the damage. Advertisers grew uneasy, worried that associating their brands with a suddenly embattled host could backfire. There were whispers that even Disney, which owns the network, was becoming frustrated with the endless drama. Inside the network's offices, morale took a hit. Producers rushed to figure out how to regain trust, yet no quick fix seemed at hand. Kimmel's show had already been grappling with dwindling ratings, and excluding a Hollywood icon only made matters worse. Social media lit up with questions about why a longtime host would shut out a beloved actor. When memes mocking the decision trended online, it became clear that the issue had spiraled far beyond a simple scheduling choice. To make matters more complicated, this was hardly Kimmel's first brush with controversy. He had faced mounting criticism in the past for pushing boundaries a bit too far or feuding with big-name guests. Over time, a pattern emerged. Celebrities with massive fan bases often clashed with him if they felt their interests weren't respected. While such feuds had previously been shrugged off as part of late-night theater, the Stallone situation seemed different, more combustible, and less easily dismissed. The behind-the-scenes atmosphere at the network was tense, with some sources hinting that if ratings continued to nosedive, Kimmel's future might be on the line. Once a stalwart figure who reliably drew in viewers, he now faced a crisis of confidence. Late-night shows depend on public goodwill, and it had become obvious that millions of fans were siding with the iconic actor over the veteran host. Network higher-ups scrambled to implement constant damage control, but the internet's outrage has a way of living on. Every time Kimmel tried to smooth things over, skeptics questioned his motives, accusing him of insincerity. The possibility that his contract might not be renewed gained steam, although no one at the network officially confirmed it. In the end, the feeling in many quarters was that this drama had revealed a shaky foundation. A single misjudgment had opened the floodgates, leaving Kimmel and the network bracing for what might come next. Other celebrities who avoided Kimmel. Although the Stallone debacle made the biggest headlines, it wasn't the first time celebrities had steered clear of Jimmy Kimmel's late-night stage. Rumors swirled of high-profile figures turning down invites or backing out altogether due to strict talk show rules and behind-the-scenes clashes. One well-known story involved Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, celebrated for his friendly and open style. He reportedly refused to appear on the show because producers demanded certain topics remain strictly off-limits. Considering Johnson's knack for candid discussions with fans, those conditions felt like a deal-breaker. Another prominent name who bowed out was Taylor Swift. Her team hinted that Kimmel's show tended to reframe guest narratives for comedic effect. Known for her carefully maintained public image, Swift wasn't willing to risk seeing her personal stories turned into punchlines, so she declined the invitation altogether. Then there was Barbra Streisand, an iconic singer-actress admired for her commanding presence. She had a simple request regarding how cameras would capture her best angle. The show's refusal to comply rubbed her the wrong way, prompting her to walk before ever setting foot on stage. Fans rallied to her defense, arguing that someone of Streisand's stature deserved a basic level of accommodation, while critics accused both sides of being too stubborn. Another notable incident involved Sean Penn, a passionate actor-activist who had planned to speak about an important cause close to his heart. Producers, however, insisted on focusing the conversation on lighthearted celebrity chatter. Unwilling to sacrifice his message, Penn left just hours before the show was set to tape, leaving Kimmel's teams scrambling for a last-minute guest. In each of these cases, the underlying issue boiled down to control. These stars resented the idea that their interviews could be edited, silenced, or turned into punchlines they hadn't signed up for. Kimmel's format, built on quick wit and comedic jabs, often demanded a level of producer oversight that clashed with those who wanted more autonomy. While some guests shrugged off the show's tight grip as part of late-night TV, others saw it as a deal-breaker. Over time, it contributed to Kimmel's growing reputation among certain big-name celebrities as someone not always willing to meet them halfway, setting the stage for even bigger blow-ups, like the one with Stallone, that would define the show's uncertain future. Why Stallone's rejection hurt more? The fallout from excluding Sylvester Stallone hit harder than any previous fiasco because Stallone isn't just another actor. He's a cultural juggernaut. Known worldwide for defining iconic roles that embody grit and resilience, he stands at the intersection of timeless Hollywood prestige and underdog determination. Fans don't simply like Stallone. They cherish his story, from humble beginnings to blockbuster triumphs. Turning him away sparked an instant emotional reaction among countless movie lovers. For many, Stallone's journey from struggling artist to Academy Award-nominated star feels relatable and uplifting. His name conjures nostalgia. Images of him going the distance in the ring, fighting unimaginable battles, and consistently championing the little guy. That's an image that transcends usual Hollywood politics. When the news broke that he'd been kept off a late-night show for his views, the conclusion was swift. Kimmel had bitten off more than he could chew. People who might otherwise dismiss showbiz spats joined the outcry, seeing this as a symbol of old-guard Hollywood shutting out an authentic voice. Unlike other celebrities with less universal appeal, Stallone wields cross-generational influence. Younger audiences know him from recent projects, while older fans still picture him as the man who first climbed those rocky steps. Making matters more explosive was the timing. Stallone was already on a hot streak, branching out into new ventures, and showing he still had plenty of stamina left in his career. Whether it was a reality series showcasing his family life, or fresh roles that underscored his long-running toughness, his brand remained strong. So, when fans perceived that a late-night show tried to silence him, it felt like more than a one-off snub. They saw it as a direct affront to an icon whose grit had inspired millions. This wave of support gave Stallone even greater momentum. Instead of looking like a victim of Hollywood politics, he appeared as a hero once again, an underdog who refused to be muzzled. Meanwhile, Kimmel faced growing criticism for not recognizing the unique bond Stallone shares with his fanbase. In the end, shunning a smaller star might have flown under the radar. But shutting out one of the biggest names on the planet was bound to cause an uproar that not even the best PR tactics could smother. Cancel culture and political correctness. In the world of red carpets and million-dollar movie deals, appearances can shift overnight. Many in Hollywood live under the looming threat of cancel culture, where one misstep can lead to swift backlash. This is the environment into which Jimmy Kimmel and Sylvester Stallone stepped. With Kimmel's show under fire and Stallone's remarks about manufactured drama ringing true, both men found themselves at the center of a broader conversation about political correctness and open discourse. High-profile controversies in recent years have shown how quickly a beloved figure can become a target. Even household names once revered, comedians, talk show hosts, or movie stars, have seen their projects shelved over a single comment or social media post that clashed with popular sentiment. Stallone, by speaking out against Hollywood's tendency to censor anything deemed too risky, inadvertently put a spotlight on how fragile reputations can be. By the time Kimmel chose to exclude him, many fans viewed it as just another example of an industry that avoids confrontation rather than embraces real conversations. Critics of cancel culture argue that it creates an atmosphere where creative minds are too afraid to deviate from safe narratives. Instead of exploring challenging themes or raw personal truths, they churn out productions designed not to offend. Stallone's call for more authenticity struck a chord with audiences tired of scripted dialogues and carefully curated statements. They see his career, grounded in underdog stories and gritty heroism, as evidence that real emotion resonates more than manufactured politeness. Meanwhile, Kimmel might have found himself on the wrong side of that conversation. audiences who once enjoyed his bold humor began to sense a disconnect. To them, Kimmel's decision to exclude Stallone felt less like a thoughtful move and more like a knee-jerk reaction to avoid potential uproar from those who champion strict political correctness. In an entertainment world obsessed with chatter about who's canceled and who's not, the host appeared to bow to the waves of online pressure rather than stand for open dialogue. This tug-of-war between Stallone's blunt honesty and Kimmel's protective approach underscores a bigger issue: a Hollywood too quick to punish dissent, but often slow to adapt to what viewers genuinely crave. Real stories, candid debate, and artists unafraid to speak their minds. For many, it's a sign that the old gatekeepers are losing their influence, making room for voices willing to risk controversy in the name of authenticity. Symptoms of a changing entertainment landscape. While Jimmy Kimmel scrambled to address the fallout of excluding Sylvester Stallone, the actor calmly strolled into a world that feels more in tune with modern audiences. Stallone chose to appear on podcasts and alternative talk shows, platforms that encourage open, unfiltered conversation over rehearsed soundbites. In doing so, he tapped into a powerful trend: the rapid migration of viewers away from legacy networks and toward digital mediums offering raw authenticity. No longer do millions sit glued to late-night television, anticipating monologues and celebrity interviews. The landscape has evolved. Many now prefer YouTube videos, TikTok creators, or Spotify podcasts that deliver content without network executives pulling the strings. In this realm, Stallone's unapologetic candor was a perfect match, resonating with fans tired of sanitized TV segments. He could speak his mind, share anecdotes that never would have made the cut on a traditional show, and let his personality shine without fear of being censored. This shift reflects a larger dissatisfaction with old-school entertainment. Gone are the days when late night was the only place to see your favorite stars. Today, viewers can watch their idols talk freely for hours, diving into life stories, passions, and even controversial opinions without abrupt commercial breaks. For someone like Stallone, famous for roles built on battle and resilience, the format suits him perfectly. He thrives on sincerity, and that's hard to maintain when every word on network TV must pass through layers of approval. Meanwhile, Kimmel's predicament illustrates a sobering reality. Many once dominant talk shows now face declining ratings. They compete for attention in an oversaturated market, battling digital stars who can connect with fans on a more personal level. Younger audiences in particular crave spontaneous, unscripted interactions, and that rarely describes a late-night program. Instead of waiting for a carefully orchestrated sketch, they can tune into a podcast featuring Stallone chatting for hours about his life, inspirations, and opinions on Hollywood. With or without Kimmel's blessing, Stallone discovered new ways to reach his audience, shining a light on an entertainment world irreversibly changed. In a digital age brimming with free-flowing ideas, no single host or network can dictate who gets heard. For Kimmel and shows like his, the message is clear: adapt or risk becoming a relic, overshadowed by icons ready to break free from the old molds and connect with fans on their own terms. The aftermath: ratings, reputations, and next steps. The storm of controversy swirling around Jimmy Kimmel and Sylvester Stallone left observable marks on both men's careers, but in drastically different ways. For Kimmel, the immediate damage was felt on the ratings front. Reports hinted at viewership levels hitting new lows, making an already precarious situation worse for a show struggling to retain audience interest. Advertisers grew wary, and industry insiders whispered that network bosses were growing impatient. While late-night television had been dragging its feet for a while, this debacle propelled the issue to a tipping point. On the other side, Stallone seemed to glide through the chaos unscathed. Far from harming his reputation, the incident proved to many fans that he was who he'd always claimed to be: someone unafraid to speak up and reject the status quo. Social media was flooded with messages labeling him a true original, praising him for refusing to kowtow to the demands of any show that didn't respect his views. In the wake of the incident, he found his visibility soaring. Supporters posted clips of his past interviews, celebrating the very authenticity that Kimmel's camp tried to sideline. The network took stock of the potential fallout, and rumors began circulating about Kimmel's future. Talk swirled that if his ratings didn't improve, the show might need a reboot, potentially with a new face at the helm. Executives apparently weighed whether continuing with a polarizing figure was worth the hit to audience size. Although no official announcement emerged, there was a sense that a clock had started ticking. Kimmel had to prove he could still draw a crowd, or risk losing his prime spot altogether. Meanwhile, Stallone marched forward with his usual steady confidence. His social media presence became a hub of positivity, featuring posts about upcoming projects and motivational messages echoing those underdog themes he built a career on. The contrast couldn't be starker. While Kimmel struggled to shift the narrative back to comedy, Stallone reveled in fan-driven momentum. He'd managed to capture a moment when audiences seemed weary of forced politeness and eager for something real. Looking ahead, it's clear the aftermath extended beyond just a canceled booking. Kimmel's woes hinted at the fragility of late-night TV itself, while Stallone emerged as a symbol of how to thrive by refusing to bend to old Hollywood expectations. The entire saga became a case study in how quickly fortunes can change when public sentiment shifts, and how authenticity can often outlast even the most established platforms.